Another episode of Be Culture with Justin Taylor, produced by Otis Brown Jr. This episode's book is Black Theology and Black Power by James H. Cone. This book right here is, I went for a different twist on it. I met somebody, older gentleman, who put me onto the book, and it caught my attention. It really did throw me for a loop, and it's a lot of things from back to ancient day that's still relevant now. It's very deep, so this episode, I'm only going to go off 3 chapters, but it's going to give you a good gist on what the book is about and the man behind it. So before we get into the chapters by review, let's go over the basis of what is black theology. In the United States, colonists used religion as a justification for slavery and discrimination practices toward African Americans. After slavery was abolished, discrimination toward African Americans continued with different ways, Jim Crow laws and the KKK. Religion was continually used justification for white supremacy and discrimination of African Americans. Black churches began to develop different religions, interpretations that did not favor white supremacy. So with that being said, just off that alone, because before I started reading the book, you think you know what is black power. This gave me like a greater like depth of where it came from, the meaning behind it, or like, do we even have a meaning? Or is it different from which background you come from or your surroundings or your upbringings? So obviously theology is within the divinity. So as reading the book, the twist on it all with the churches and the upbringing of white supremacy, black power, on how we interpret what Jesus Christ thinks of the way one should live his or her life, is definitely, I won't say a plot twist, but it gives you the original definition of what majority of us were brought up on. Toward a constructive definition of black power. So, the term black power was first used in the civil rights movement in the spring of 1966 by Stokely Carmichael to designate the only appropriate response to white racism. So, throughout this chapter right here, they go off the base of where it routed from, during the civil rights movement, which is the 60s basically, right? We're still in the process of defining such terms as democracy, good, evil, and many others. During that time, you think about what was going on in the world, killing of JFK and whatnot, and blacks trying to come up with Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, and you got all these white supremacists holding us down, okay? So we had an upbringing of ourselves as a people. As I get further into the chapter, in short, as Stokely Carmichael will say, black power means TCB, take care of business. Black folks taking care of business, not on the terms of the oppressor, but on those of the oppressed. So with that being said, as I skimmed through that chapter and read it, I had to reread it. Sometimes when you read books, you go through the chapter fast. You have to go back then. Certain words you might not understand or certain concepts you might not get. But within that chapter, they really, really harped on what does black power mean within our community, what it meant back then, what it meant in the present era. Because you might throw up a fist and not know where it came from. Might not know the true meaning of why we do what we do. And, crack the book open, you'll find that out. So early in the book, a poem by Langston Hughes is cited. I swear to the Lord, I still can't see why democracy means everyone but me. Think about that. Let that sink in. 2017, does democracy still mean us? Still mean we? This is what the black man feels like in the white world. So, going on to chapter 3, the white church and black power. Most of religion, I guess, back in like the slavery era, churches and whatnot, they're more so tilted towards white supremacy, Black power in this relationship with the black community. It's agreed that black power is the spirit of Christ himself in a black-white dialogue. So when we say black power, black power like standing up for yourself, when you're oppressed by the oppressors. We're standing up for something that was always frowned upon, was always like not want to happen. Like we're coming from a day and age of where all this BS happened, and while reading this book, it goes by what the black power forefathers were standing for with this whole movement. It's not just movement, it's a way of life. So as I go through the book and you read each chapter, it's giving you different takes on black power, black theology, how we view God, and how white supremacists view God. Because, I'm not one to get all religious, but, to be God is not to frown upon people. It's not to judge. It's not to dehumanize another man or woman. That's not what being godly is like. And church is not just your attendance on a Sunday, but church is within you. Like, you can speak to God in public, like wherever you are. You are a walking church, as long as you believe in the Lord. So, like, you guys, anybody who knows me, I'm not even a church guy. Do I read my Bible? Yes. But in these chapters, when they hit the theology parts throughout the book, it gives you a better understanding of where we are with the Lord as a black community. I know it sounds odd, but as you read it along, it gets to you. You get a good grasp of what they're talking about in the book. Chapter 6: Revolution, Violence, Reconciliation, and Black Theology. Fact: there is a racial struggle. You know it is. Fact: any man had better realize what it means, why there is one. It is a result of more than misunderstanding. Fact: people should love each other. Sounds like Rias Park at sundown. It has every little meaning in the world at large. So when you move on to page 136, Revolution. The revolution which black theology advocates should not be confused with some popular uses of the word. When Billy Graham can speak of a need of revolution, we clearly require a tighter definition of the term. Revolution is not merely a change of heart, but a radical black encounter with the structure of white racism, with the full intention of destroying its menace and power. I mean, confronting white racists and saying, it's a fight you want, I'm prepared to oblige you. This is what the black revolution means. With that being said, you read that little snippet of what revolution is. It's saying that you can stand up for what you believe in, but you need to have knowledge to back it up. Because, we're already looked at as, still to this day, monkeys. So having knowledge, you being able to back up, have meat behind your statements of what's going on in the world, is real. It is real. Moving on to page 138, violence. To raise the question of revolution is to raise the question of violence. Revolution always involves coercion. Is black theology a theology of violence? Does it advocate guerrilla warfare against the white adversary? These questions are not new. These questions aren't new. Things that our grandparents, great uncles, aunts tell us about, and the questions that they have, or, the older people in your family are the most woke, as always, These questions are still relevant today. You got shootings and killings down in the southern part of the states, even up top, Midwest, West Side. These questions still get you. When you think things are all sunshines and rainbows, it's not. So, with that being said, you need to look around you, your surroundings of your white counterparts. This is not the sound, as a racist myself, but it's the sound as the little things. Ask, a white friend or associate about their upbringings, about what they were taught. You'll get a different understanding about how and why they think the way they do. Honestly, racism, you're not born into it, you're kind of raised into it. Take that with a grain of salt. So, Black Theology and Black Power by James H. Cone. You already know. You can always get it on Amazon. Go to your local bookstore, Barnes & Noble, It is a challenging read. I would challenge anybody of all ages to read this book. You'll have greater knowledge of what's going on in the world. You'll have a greater knowledge of what's been happening and what they don't want you to be aware of. Reading this book is like knowing thyself. I'm not saying you can't read it if you're a white man or white girl, Latina. It's for everybody. But for my black people, we should really have this book in our collection. This is a book that will take you to the next level, further your knowledge. Because I'm not going to lie to you, I'll probably read this book over just to more brain food stored up here, I'm not saying this is a conversation starter for a book, but it's a great debate. It is a great debate for any luncheon with friends with great minds. So, thank you for joining for Be Culture. Keep subscribing, commenting, liking it. Suggestions when I see you out on the street, I do appreciate it. You know, and the show right here, very black, very proud. You get that from Melanin Apparel. Okay, I'm just giving guys a little shout out. Let's get some more Melanin Apparel popping, guys. Have a good one.